when she became blind, it is as if her other senses developed to receive messages and information about the future.
Were they time travelers or simply people who defy all logic and reason? Let's find out. Noah, the Time Walker. Back in 2018, this guy named Noah popped up claiming he was a time traveler from the year 2030. And of course, he took a lie detector test, which he somehow passed. He predicted things like Trump winning again in 2028, humans going to Mars, and Bitcoin becoming super common, though he said cash will still hang around too. Oh, and he had some mystery tech implanted in his wrist that he said was part of the time travel thing. An X-ray actually showed something in there. Then, poof, he vanished during a live stream. Days later, he emailed saying he'd been taken back to 2030 for questioning. Yeah, totally normal time traveler stuff. Blues and the Devil. Robert Johnson, one of the greatest blues artists of all time, remains a mystery to this day. Born in 1911, his early years weren't exactly filled with musical brilliance. He was considered pretty untalented, but something changed when he disappeared for a while, only to return as one of the greatest guitarists ever. Some say he sold his soul to the devil at a crossroads, and honestly, who wouldn't make a deal for that kind of skill? His music, filled with dark themes of hell and the devil, only added to his mysterious aura. Sadly, Johnson passed away at 27 under mysterious circumstances. Still, his legacy lives on, inspiring legends even today. The Blind Seer.
Her predictions were actually very accurate, which tells us that the ability to retrieve information beyond this earth plane has nothing to do with our five senses. In fact, when she became blind, it is as if her other senses developed to receive messages and information about the future.
Baba Vanga, a blind Bulgarian woman, became famous for her extraordinary ability to predict world events, despite having no formal education. After a freak storm at age 12 left her blind, she claimed to receive visions, seeing people's entire lives as if watching a movie. Her predictions included the 9/11 attacks and the 2004 tsunami. Many even say extraterrestrials communicated with her, sharing secrets hidden in religious texts. The craziest part is that she never read a book, had no TV, and somehow knew things nobody else could. Talk about a whole new level of intuition. Wow. Man from 2749. Al Bielek claimed he time-traveled all the way to the year 2749 and spent 2 whole years there. He said it all started when he jumped off a Navy ship in 1943 during the so-called Philadelphia experiment. Next thing he knew, he woke up in the future in a hospital using light therapy and weird tech to heal him. The US had collapsed, the coasts had shifted, and Florida was barely hanging on. In 2749, things got even stranger. There were floating cities and no government, just a giant crystal AI running the show. Honestly, this sounds like someone binge-watched sci-fi on NyQuil. Vanished passport guy. So, apparently, in 1954, a man landed at a Tokyo airport claiming he was from a country called Taured. Sounds fine, except no one's ever heard of that place. Like, not even on Google Maps level unheard of. The man had a passport, legit stamps, and even multiple currencies, but the country just didn't exist. He said it was between France and Spain, pointed to Andorra on the map, and got confused when nobody else called it Taured. Authorities held him in a hotel room overnight, but by morning, poof, he was gone. No exit, no ID, nothing left behind. Honestly, if this guy wasn't a time traveler, he was definitely a pro at ghosting. Mystery Lady. Back in 1963, during JFK's assassination, there was this one woman, headscarf, sunglasses, just calmly standing there while chaos unfolded. People started calling her the Babushka Lady because she looked like someone's Russian grandma. What's weird is that she didn't run or react like the rest. She just stood there, holding what looked like a camera, and then vanished. Some lady named Beverly Oliver claimed to be her years later, but her story didn't add up. The camera she mentioned wasn't even out in '63. Plus, she looked nothing like the woman in the footage. So yeah, no one really knows who this mysterious woman was. Honestly, if I saw that much drama, I'd disappear too. Reincarnation twins. So, John and Florence Pollock lost their two daughters, Joanna and Jacqueline, in a tragic car accident in 1957. A year later, Florence gave birth to twins, Jillian and Jennifer. Here's where things get spooky. Jennifer had birthmarks exactly where Jacqueline had scars. And when the twins started talking, they somehow knew all about their older sister's toys, what they were called, who owned what, even how they were split between them. Like, how? They'd never seen them before. The twins also had an intense fear of cars, and when they visited Hexham, where their sisters grew up, they started pointing out places they'd never been. It's like they had memories from someone else's life, which is kinda wild. What do you think about this? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Poe's birthday visitor.
It is a tradition that many thought was never more, but the mysterious Poe toaster returns to Baltimore.
Every year on Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, someone dressed in black would quietly visit his grave in Baltimore, leave 3 roses and a bottle of cognac, and vanish into the night. This started way back in the 1940s, and honestly, it felt like something straight out of a Poe story. But in 2009, the mysterious visitor just stopped showing up. People figured that was the end of it. Then in 2016, boom, he was back. Well, a Poe toaster was back. The Maryland Historical Society picked a new one to keep the tradition alive. His identity, still a mystery. But if you're gonna have a secret hobby, dramatic cemetery appearances aren't a bad pick. The Wicked Wizard. Aleister Crowley was that one guy in history who clearly didn't read the rulebook or just tossed it out on day one. He was into magic, spirits, rituals, and created his own belief system called Thelema. People called him the wickedest man in the world, and honestly, he kind of leaned into it. Oh, he also once injured himself while ice skating, and the wound never properly healed. That alone would have made him spooky. But then he moved into a creepy old house in Scotland, and neighbors swore the place got weirder ever since. Fires, strange sightings, the usual. Say what you will, but the man knew how to leave a bizarre legacy behind. Rasputin's scary prophecy.
And he was a stranic, a kind of traveling preacher. Not a priest, not a monk, but what he really was a shaman.
Rasputin wasn't just known for healing people. He was famous for making some pretty dark predictions too. The most chilling one, he warned Empress Alexandra that if he was ever taken out by nobles, the royal family wouldn't last more than 2 years. He even said the whole dynasty would collapse. And well, that's exactly what happened. Just months after his warning, Rasputin was targeted by a group of nobles and never made it out alive. Less than 2 years later, the Romanovs were overthrown and sent into exile, and eventually, none of them made it out either. Rasputin's prophecy wasn't just spooky, it was spot on. That guy really saw it coming. Masked Mystery Man. This story of the man in the iron mask is straight up bizarre. Back in the 1600s, King Louis XIV locked up a prisoner who wore a face-covering mask, supposedly iron. But some now say it was just velvet. The weird part was that no one really knew who the guy was, and the guards were told to burn all his stuff after he passed. For centuries, people guessed he might have been a royal twin or a political enemy. But in 2016, a historian said he was probably just a valet named Eustache Dogger, who knew a little too much about rich people stealing money. So basically, he was the world's most unlucky gossip. Green Kid's Mystery. So apparently, back in the 1100s, 2 green-skinned kids just appeared in a village called Woolpit in England. A boy and a girl, both totally confused, speaking some language no one knew, and only willing to eat raw, broad beans. Not gonna lie, that sounds like every toddler I've met. Anyway, the boy sadly didn't make it, but the girl adapted, lost her green color, learned English, and even got married later on. Some folks say they were aliens, others think they were just malnourished kids from a nearby village. Honestly, the fact that they came out of a random pit just makes this whole thing feel like a real-life glitch in the Matrix. Val Valiant Thor. In the late 50s, a guy named Val Valiant Thor showed up in a shiny spaceship and told US officials he was from Venus. Not California Venus, actual Venus. He said he came to help us fix diseases, hand out free energy, and basically turn Earth into a cosmic spa. But here's the twist. Instead of helping, he mostly just walked around the Pentagon like he owned the place, using mind tricks on people and sneaking into top secret files. Some say he looked human, others swear he could walk through walls. Honestly, if he was from Venus, he really should have brought sunscreen. That place is not really a paradise. Dancing plague mystery. Back in 1518, the city of Strasbourg saw one of the strangest outbreaks in history. People dancing non-stop in the streets for days.
In the street.
This wasn't some festival or ritual. It was completely involuntary. It started with one woman who suddenly began dancing in the middle of the road, and then dozens joined her. No music, no celebrations, just people dancing until their bodies gave out. Doctors at the time thought it was a medical issue caused by hot blood, but modern experts still don't agree on what caused it. Some think it was stress-induced mass hysteria, others blame spiked bread. Whatever it was, the mystery of why so many people danced uncontrollably remains unsolved to this day. Lost and found. You won't believe this wild story from Cape Cod. In July 1974, they found a woman called the Lady of the Dunes, and for years, no one knew who she was. Fast forward 48 years, and guess what? Science stepped in, and they identified her as Ruth Marie Terry. Turns out she had a wild past and some shady connections. Her son, Richard, was on a mission to find her, and bam, he discovers she's been missing all along.
Oh God, I don't even.
It's like a real-life mystery novel, but with a twist. Who knew a beach getaway could turn into a whodunit? Life's a beach, but sometimes it gets a bit heavy. Plane jump heist. Alright, this one's wild. In 1971, a man calling himself Dan Cooper, yep, not even DB yet, got on a flight, handed a note to a flight attendant, and straight up said he was equipped with a detonating device. Calmly asked for $200,000 and 4 parachutes. The plane lands, he gets the money, lets the passengers go, then tells the pilot to take off again, and somewhere over Washington, the dude jumps out of the plane with the cash, never to be seen again. The FBI searched everywhere but found nothing. No body, no parachute, just a clip-on tie and some cigarette butts. And honestly, if he survived, that's probably the smoothest exit in history. Lost Boy Mystery. In 1828, a super confused teenage boy just appeared in Germany. He had no idea where he was, could barely talk, and was carrying 2 weird letters. One was like, "Hey Captain, take care of this kid," and the other claimed to be from his mom. Dated 1812. The teen, named Caspar Hauser, said he'd lived in a dark room his whole life, sleeping on straw and getting fed by strangers he never saw. Sounds like the start of a bizarre fairy tale, right? But somehow, he learned to read and write really fast and became a mini celebrity. Some thought he was royal, others thought he was just good at being mysterious. Wild stuff. Amelia's vanishing flight. Now this is the biggest aviation mystery of all times. Amelia Earhart was basically the Beyoncé of the skies in the 1930s. She broke records, flew solo across the Atlantic, and proved flying wasn't just a guy thing. In 1937, she set out to fly around the world with her navigator Fred Noonan. But somewhere near a tiny island in the Pacific, she just vanished. Her last message said she was low on fuel and couldn't find the island. Some think she crashed. Others believe she ended up on a remote place called Nikomaroro. Explorers even found old tools and a knife, just like the one she carried. Still, no solid proof. It's like the world's longest game of hide and seek. Benjamin Kyle. In 2004, a man known as Benjamin Kyle was found unconscious behind a fast food restaurant in Georgia. He had no memory of who he was, and no one could identify him. Despite extensive efforts, his true identity remained a mystery for 27 years. He was unable to recall his past, and authorities could not find any records of his existence. Was he a victim of amnesia, or had he vanished under strange circumstances? His story remains one of the most baffling mysteries of modern times. Mysterious Pope. Pope Sylvester II, reigning from 999 to 1003, was no ordinary pope. He was a man surrounded by dark forces. His knowledge of science and mathematics was said to be the result of a pact with the devil. It is whispered that in his relentless pursuit of power, he sought out forbidden rituals and necromantic secrets. The air grew colder around him, and strange occurrences followed in his wake. Some say the devil himself was his greatest ally. The truth might never be revealed. Forest cult mystery. In 1969, 20-year-old Rosalind Balang disappeared into the Knisna forest in South Africa, and things only got weirder from there. She was a university student, but also the high priestess of a hippie group called the Cosmic Butterfly. Yep, that was the actual name. Some said she wandered into the forest to spiritually ascend. Others believed she sacrificed herself for the cult. Either way, no trace of her was ever found. The forest is dense, quiet, and super creepy at times, which didn't help with the search. Her vanishing still baffles everyone. Honestly, the whole thing sounds like a plot from a 70s mystery movie. Roanoke's Vanishing Act.
The lost colony remains this mystery that's at the very heart of the origin of our nation. People remain fascinated by Roanoke because we know so little about the place. We know what happened at Jamestown. We know what happened at Plymouth. But Roanoke is this mystery because we don't know what happened.
More than 400 years ago, a bunch of English settlers landed on Roanoke Island, North Carolina, ready to start a new life. John White, their leader, went back to England for supplies, but got stuck there for 3 years. When he finally returned in 1590, poof, everyone was gone. No people, no houses, just the word Croatoan carved into a post. That's it. Some say the colonists might have moved in with a local tribe, but we've never found their remains. Archaeologists found old stuff like rings and sword hilts, but no big answers. I mean, imagine ghosting that hard, your whole colony disappeared. Jimmy Hoffa disappearance.
7 days a week, I have more fun here working than anybody can have on a golf course of any sport you can make.
Ever wonder where someone could disappear without a trace? Jimmy Hoffa, a powerful union leader, vanished in 1975, and to this day, no one knows where he went. Last seen outside a restaurant in Detroit, Hoffa's disappearance quickly became a mystery. Some say he was taken by the mob, others believe he met a darker fate. Despite numerous theories, from being hidden in a stadium to dumped in a landfill, his body was never found. Even decades later, people are still guessing where Hoffa might be. His story remains one of the biggest mysteries in American history. Phineas Gage. What if a single accident could change who you are forever? In 1848, Phineas Gage, a railroad foreman, experienced an accident that seemed impossible to survive. A metal rod was blasted through his skull, entering below his cheek and exiting through the top of his head. Miraculously, Gage lived, but something changed within him. The calm and responsible man was now impulsive and reckless. The cause? His injury had damaged the part of his brain controlling personality. Gage's case baffled doctors and remains a crucial part of understanding the human mind. Some still wonder, was he the same person after that day? Cruel ruler. What if a ruler's cruelty became legend? Vlad the Impaler, also known as Vlad III or Dracula, was a ruler of Wallachia in the 15th century. His reign is remembered for its terrifying acts, where his enemies faced unimaginable punishments. Many were impaled on long wooden stakes.
One, a very bad one, he captured a family and he boiled one of them, and then he forced the rest of the family to eat him.
Though his methods were shocking, they earned him fear and respect in equal measure. Some say his actions were driven by a desire for power, while others believe something darker took hold. Vlad's story would later inspire the infamous Count Dracula. Was he a man or something far more sinister? Mysterious astrologer. Nostradamus, a 16th century French astrologer, became famous for his cryptic predictions. In his book Les Prophéties, he wrote hundreds of quatrains, many so vague that they could be interpreted in countless ways. Yet some believe he foresaw major events like the rise of Napoleon, the terror of Hitler, and even the 9/11 attacks. His followers claim his insight was extraordinary, but critics argue his words were too obscure to be taken seriously. Was he merely lucky, or did he possess knowledge beyond what we can understand? No one can say for certain. To this day, his predictions remain a mystery that haunts the future. John Dee. What if an advisor to a queen was secretly speaking with the skies? John Dee was no ordinary advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. Behind his scholarly image hid a man obsessed with contacting beings from another realm. Alongside Edward Kelly, he used mirrors and crystals to speak with what they called angels. These beings supposedly shared messages in a strange, unknown language known as Enochian. Dee believed this knowledge came from higher powers, but others whispered he was crossing dangerous lines. His home became a place of rituals and coded writings, some of which still puzzle experts today. Was Dee guided by light, or was something far darker whispering from the other side? Zodiac Mystery. A name signed in fear, not fame. Zodiac. During the late 1960s, California faced a string of strange attacks. The person behind them called himself the Zodiac and sent cryptic letters to newspapers filled with puzzles, strange symbols, and dark riddles. He claimed to be behind several disturbing events, leaving police and the public both alarmed and confused. Some messages were decoded, others still remain a mystery. Despite long investigations and many suspects, no one has ever been officially linked to the case. Even now, the name Zodiac carries a shadow that refuses to fade. Teleporting guard guy. 1 minute he's on duty in Manila, the next, boom, he's standing in Mexico City, 9,000 miles away. That's the story of Gil Perez, a Filipino palace guard who was just leaning on a wall in Manila and somehow blinked his way into Mexico City, like on the other side of the Pacific. He was still in uniform, super confused, and had zero clue how he got there. He told the local officials that just before this happened, the governor of the Philippines had been taken out by pirates. People thought he was either lying, nuts, or working with some dark magic. But 2 months later, a ship brought news confirming everything Gil said. Witnesses even swore they saw him in Manila the day before he teleported. Gil was later sent back home, probably never leaned on a wall again. Andrew Basiago. Andrew D. Basiago, a lawyer, has made some extraordinary claims about his childhood. He insists that he was part of a secret U.S. government program called Project Pegasus, which allegedly allowed him to time travel and teleport. According to Basiago, he visited the past and even journeyed to Mars, meeting historical figures along the way. His stories have captivated some and baffled others, as they seem too unbelievable to be true. Still, he stands by his experiences, claiming that the government has hidden these advancements from the public for decades. Basiago's tale lingers, as mysterious as the technology he describes. Anjiki Lake Mystery. In the 1930s, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle stumbled upon a strange scene near Anjikuni Lake in northern Canada. He found an entire village completely abandoned, yet everything appeared undisturbed. There were meals left unfinished, clothing scattered about, and even fires still burning. No signs of struggle or violence, just an eerie silence. The villagers had vanished without a trace. LaBelle's search for answers led to more questions, as no explanation was ever found. Over the years, the mystery continues to perplex authorities, but the fate of the villagers remains unknown. I would say it is a puzzle that refuses to be solved. Hitler's deputy disappearance.
Aller Form, vor der Welt bekräftigen, was euch längst Selbstverständlichkeit war.
In 1941, Rudolf Hess, Hitler's deputy, made a daring and mysterious flight from Nazi Germany to Scotland. Claiming to be on a peace mission, Hess hoped to negotiate a treaty between Britain and Nazi Germany, all without Hitler's knowledge. After parachuting into a Scottish farmer's garden, he was quickly arrested by British authorities. The true reason for his flight has puzzled historians for years. Was he genuinely seeking peace, or was there something more sinister behind it? Despite being imprisoned and later tried, Hess's motives remain unclear. I'd say it's one of those stories that will never be fully understood. Edgar Case. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, was a famous American psychic born in 1877. He became widely known for delivering detailed readings while in a trance-like state, often while asleep. His readings covered a vast range of topics, from health to past lives, and even predictions about future events. Cayce's ability to diagnose medical conditions and offer healing advice made him a respected figure. He also made prophecies about places like Atlantis and the future of humanity. His work on spiritual growth, mind-body connection, and healing continues to influence many even today. Hopi prophecies. The Hopi prophecy is a series of ancient predictions passed down through generations of the Hopi Native American tribe. These prophecies speak of future challenges, including environmental destruction, war, and spiritual decline. But they also bring hope, suggesting that humanity can find renewal and peace if we reconnect with nature and spirituality. The most famous part of the prophecy talks about a time of purification, when the earth will be healed. Many have turned to these prophecies during times of crisis, wondering how closely they align with today's world. 3 Nephites. The 3 Nephites are figures from the Book of Mormon, a sacred text of the LDS Church. According to the story, these 3 individuals were chosen by Jesus Christ to remain on earth, granted immortality to continue spreading the gospel. They were promised they would never experience death and would live until Christ's return. Over the years, many believe these Nephites are still alive today, performing miracles and aiding those in need, though their true identities remain a mystery. Time traveler. In a 1940s street photo from British Columbia, everyone's dressed in heavy coats and fedoras, except for one man. He's casually leaning against a wall, but that's not what made people gasp. His hand is pressed to his ear, as if he's on a mobile phone. But in the 1940s, there were no mobile phones. None. So who was he talking to? And how? Some say it's just a coincidence, but others are convinced he was a time traveler caught in the act. Wandering man. They say he was cursed to walk the earth forever, never to rest, never to age. Known only as the Wandering Jew, his story began with a single act during a sacred moment. Since then, time refuses to let him go. He walks endlessly, with no home, no end, and no peace. No one knows where he's going, only that his journey never stops. A man forgotten by time itself. Boy with no past. Caspar Hauser appeared in Nuremberg, Germany in 1828, a boy who couldn't speak or walk properly, claiming he had been kept in a dark room for most of his life. With no memory of his family or past, his origins were a mystery. Some believe he was the son of a noble family hidden away for unknown reasons, while others think he was part of a strange experiment. His life ended tragically in 1833, with the circumstances still unsolved. Lighthouse Mystery. In December 1900, the Flannan Isles lighthouse off Scotland's coast became the scene of an eerie disappearance. 3 keepers, James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, and Donald MacArthur, vanished without a trace. When the supply ship arrived, the lighthouse was silent, the door locked, and the lamps unlit. Their belongings were left behind, and the last log entry hinted at rough weather. Did a monstrous wave pull them into the sea, or was something more sinister at play? Some say it was an accident, but the true fate of the men remains a mystery that remains unsolved. Dr. Ning Li. Dr. Ning Li was once at the forefront of groundbreaking research in room temperature, superconductivity, and anti-gravity technology, but her sudden disappearance has left many questions unanswered. Around the early 2000s, she seemingly vanished from the scientific community, with no clear explanation. Some believe her work, which challenged mainstream physics, may have made her a target of powerful forces, be it government agencies or private corporations. Others speculate that she disappeared voluntarily to protect herself or her research. To this day, there are no confirmed reports about her fate, leaving her story wrapped in mystery. Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, a man who endured the unimaginable horrors of Nazi concentration camps, uncovered a strange truth amidst the chaos. As death and despair surrounded him, he discovered that those who clung to a deeper meaning seemed to survive longer. Was this simply psychological resilience, or was there something more, something beyond our understanding? Frankl's logotherapy, which claimed that the search for meaning is the driving force of life, hinted at a hidden force shaping human fate. Some say his experiences unlocked a mysterious connection between the human spirit and the unseen forces of the universe. But what was the true secret he uncovered? Edgar Allan Poe. In 1849, Edgar Allan Poe was found wandering the streets of Baltimore, delirious and unable to explain his circumstances. He repeatedly muttered the name Reynolds, but no one could make sense of his words. His final days were marked by fever and confusion, with no clear explanation for his strange behavior. What led to his disoriented state? Was it a bizarre illness, a hidden conspiracy, or something far stranger? His end remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in literary history. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. An image shared online from an unknown source in the early 90s shows a young child with eyes completely devoid of irises or pupils. The photo stirred up confusion and fear. Some viewers were terrified, wondering if the child's eerie gaze was tied to unseen powers or dark forces. Others suggested it could be linked to magic or paranormal activity, speculating that the child might be connected to something beyond human understanding. I'd say it's a question with no simple answer, a puzzle that keeps on puzzling.